The list, Mike, I think is out of order, but it is per Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus. There's 6 of them. I'm sorry, there's 6. Number 6, Matt LaFleur. Do you agree that Matt LaFleur is a really good play caller for the Green Bay Packers?
I think so.
Okay. And if all else fails, he has the safety net of Aaron Rodgers is out there, and Aaron Rodgers can make the decision of, nah, I'm going to go ahead and go with this play, and then they can have that discussion. But he's putting out a pretty good offense that has not skipped a beat since Mike McCarthy left. Number 5, Sean McVay, which the dude just won the Super Bowl. How is he not the best play? Is it because he has such good talent already and their defense is so good? They're not going to make him the best play caller?
I have him number 1 just because he's worked with Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
Both probably not Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We know, obviously, the first overall pick is, and I guess they're both first overall picks. I guess Goff, I need to be specific on the both number 1 overall picks, but I know that he was the one who really wanted Goff, but then realized he's not good enough. I have to move forward and move on and make a decision here because I think I have a championship team, and he was right. So, I mean, I think he's definitely top 5, but I'm surprised he's not number 1.
Yeah, and then this year's offense with Cooper Kupp being the best receiver in the league. I know there were some really good receivers, but Cooper Kupp's numbers stood out. That dude should have been really strongly considered for MVP consideration this season. And nothing against Matt Stafford from my side, but he did it all with Matt Stafford. And Matt Stafford ends up winning the Super Bowl. That offense, what they did, I know their defense is really, really talented with Aaron Donald in the middle, but what their offense was able to do as well was pretty impressive. Number 4 on the list, Kyle Shanahan. I have no problem with this. I would probably put him number 2 on this list. I think Kyle Shanahan is a fantastic, adaptive play caller. When it comes to, hey, I got Matt Ryan as my quarterback. You know what? I'm going to eat people alive with Julio Jones, but we're also going to be able to run the ball. He has used Gary Kubiak's offensive running game system for years, and it's worked out for him every time. This guy knows how to mix in the run game with the pass game, and when he doesn't have a quarterback that's elite, that is considered one of those top 5 quarterbacks, he still gets jobs done and wins games with him. Now, that's just, I'm not a huge Garoppolo fan, but that's where he's number 4. I think he deserves to be a little bit higher on this list. Number 3, Byron Leftwich.
Okay, I mean, obviously he has a Super Bowl underneath him. I don't know how much Tom Brady makes adjustments, just like you said, Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, he's up there. I think, though, if he was really this good, he would be a head coach right now. Or unless they're telling him, look, I'm sorry, the old man who used to coach the Cardinals, what's his name?
Arians.
Yeah. That he's retiring anytime.
Well, he did.
Now.
He's out. Todd Bowles is now the head coach down there. So yeah, that's. I mean, definitely. I don't know where Byron Leftwich stands in this thing, but Leftwich, I think he has the benefit of having Hall of Famer, multiple championship head coach or quarterback Tom Brady up by his side. Like, that's a huge factor. Plus the talent they have there too. I'm gonna skip over number 2. Andy Reid, they have at number 1. Which Andy Reid, in the all-time history of play calling, there's no guy I know that can get the run game and passing game to be as efficient and effective as his. Now, when it comes to clock management late in games, Andy Reid will probably mess up something. That's going to happen. And you know what? Like, here's Andy Reid again. Bieniemy's not in the conversation on this because Bieniemy prepares and installs offense with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is the play caller on Sunday. And until Andy Reid gives that over to Bieniemy, a lot of people aren't going to believe that he knows what he's doing yet. Number 2, though, is Kellen Moore. They have Kellen Moore as the number 2 play caller in all of football. And I don't understand. I don't even know what to think. 877-881-1053. A lot of people were that's what they're going to do. They're going to end up killing Pro Football Focus on this over and over. Pro Football Focus said the Bengals have the best offensive weapons in the league, so this is obviously right too. They did. You know what? They did that. I agree with them. I think they do have the best offensive weapons in the league. I don't agree that Kellen Moore is the second best play caller in the league, though, especially whenever it comes down to you're in the playoffs against a really good play caller in Kyle Shanahan, and you get beat, and your defense has no answer to this thing. So I know that Kellen Moore rose fast. He rose very quickly up this ladder and got thrust into the play caller position very quickly. And maybe he's not getting the support that he does need, the experience that he does need from Mike McCarthy to say, hey, look, we can do these things a little better once somebody adjusts to you. But I don't think that Kellen Moore is that. Now, I guess my question is if you feel the same way, but also, do you think Kellen Moore would be a better play caller with a different quarterback? Is that the thing that's holding Kellen Moore back a little bit, is that he's limited too in what his quarterback can do?
It's interesting that if I have this right, he's the one guy on the list without playoff success. Everybody else has been to a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's the one guy that has, as far as I can remember, has 0 playoff wins. Last time we won a playoff game was 2018, correct?
Yeah. I was looking at Matt LaFleur. I don't know if LaFleur has been to or won.
Oh, he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. That's
okay.
Right. But he's been to, didn't Green Bay, they've at least won a playoff. Well, I know. He's won a playoff game.
Yeah, he won the playoff game that I bet against you.
Yeah. So I will go with, this is interesting. I think he's probably overrated here, but I also think that this is a smart thing for Pro Football Focus to do because we're talking about it, because it's Cowboys.
Isn't that what it is?
I mean, this is what all the national, they know what to do. They know, look,
it's that time of year.
If we don't put the Cowboys underrated or overrated, we're not going to get as many clicks as we want to get. So if they would have had Kellen Moore at 6th, I would say, gosh, okay. I mean, hopefully he is that up-and-coming guy that's just outside of these guys that have had success calling big-time games. But they decided to put him at 2 so that we would be talking about it.
Do you think? But
he's not bad. I'm still I think he's not a bad offensive coordinator.
Okay. What is it that you do like about what he does?
Well, I guess I'm comparing him to Jason Garrett.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so the guy that we had before, I think that he's done a pretty good job. I think that he can get better. I think that he needs to get better. I do think he's limited with his running back, that he has to play because of the contract that the Jones family gave him. So I think that he is not bad. I think that he is an up-and-coming guy. I don't want to totally give up on a guy that everybody was praising in 2020 on what he can and can't do, and maybe it was 2019. And then in 2021, because it got really stale, and it seemed to not be great, that he's horrible at this. He's a young and upcoming offensive coordinator. I think that he can be good. I wish that our head coach, Mike McCarthy, would have helped him out a little bit more.
I agree with you there.
But Mike doesn't want to do a lot of work. He just wants to kind of oversee and not get in the way. He talked about, I didn't want to, as an offensive coordinator, have a head coach helping me out. So he's decided, because he didn't want that as an offensive coordinator, he's not going to help out his offensive coordinator. But I do think he's not super limited, but he is limited in what he has.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to give up on Kellen Moore. I just think number 2 is way overrated, but number 6, number 10, somewhere in that range, I would agree with that as our offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'd probably have him in somewhere in the top 10, but after 6 probably. I'm probably not going to put him any higher than that. That's not the place that I have him, just because the team's success hasn't been enough. The last half of the season was weak offensively, and a lot of people are pointing this out. Hey, look at it another way. The Cowboys were the number 1 offense last season. The Packers weren't even in the top 10. One had Dak, one had Rodgers. Yeah, the Cowboys also, I mean, they did get smoked out in the playoffs. I guess Aaron Rodgers also did get smoked out by the San Francisco 49ers, whose head coach Kyle Shanahan is lower on this list. So I can see that too. That makes a lot of sense. And I look at the running back situation, Mike, for me, I think that's one of the many different things that becomes it's always something with this team. Lyle Collins, it's always something with this team. Tyron Smith injury, it's always something with this team. There's always one. You know what? Connor McGovern, Connor Williams, we have to have a freaking tryout for the left guard position because we don't know which one's good enough. We don't know which one we really like out here. That's always something with this team. And then they get lucky and find Micah Parsons. Then they get lucky and Trevon Diggs is having an 11 interception season. And you're just like, well, look at your defense wasn't even supposed to be this good this year. And it's the better part of your team. And somehow you're still having those kinds of problems. And then the Cowboys go and say, you know what? We're taking away the problems. We're taking away Lyle Collins. Well, crap, hold on. Now you're taking away a really good tackle. I know he's not there that often, but now you're not even giving this guy the things that he needs to succeed. One thing that I saw Nick Rank say for his bold predictions for this season is that CeeDee Lamb won't be as productive as people think, as we think. And I don't know where my thought is on what he's going to do as far as productivity goes this year. I have him really low on this list. A lot of other people have him really high. They think that he's going to be a very big success for this team, that he gets to get into the number one spot. I think he's more than just a slot receiver. I don't think he's just a guy that goes out there and he runs around in the slot and that's all he can do. I think he can line up outside and do so many things because I saw him do it at Oklahoma. I've seen him do those things. He can be an effective slot receiver, and that's the reason that he can move inside and out, and the Cowboys need to use that to their advantage. And maybe Amari Cooper limited them last year. I don't think so, because I think Amari Cooper can do those things too, and the versatility of all their wide receivers gives them lots of options. But I also look at this team and say they have problems whenever it comes to certain things that line up that they aren't prepared for. And Dak Prescott struggled last year, and I know something out there is going to be a problem for this team. And I don't think that Kellen Moore is going to be able to solve it on his own. To the point where they said, you know what? We're taking away red zone play calling responsibilities from you. You don't even get to call the red zone plays anymore. When it's time to score, we're giving it to Doug Nussmeier. That's the guy we're going to run with. We think that he can get the ball in the end zone more than you because for the last 2 years, this team's offensive efficiency in the red zone has been miserable. So they said, you're not even good enough to do that. So I'm very frustrated that the way Kellen Moore rose quickly and the rest of the country saw, oh my gosh, that's it. Mike, you talked about it. People will click because it's a Cowboy either high or too low. But the simple fact is that once something happens with the Cowboys, now it becomes, well, that guy is this across the country, when locally we see something completely different with this team.